welcome. I'm memory, and some things are better left forgotten. Galatea Claude was born with dwarfism into a family of artists. Her interest in sculpture appeared early in childhood. To help improve her technique, her teacher took Galatea to Florence. But there, she struggled to adapt to her new life, and this was dismissed as immaturity. Sometime later, she received an invitation from Baron de Rose, along with a check. During that visit, she gave the Baron a bird turned into stone, which she later destroyed during her next visit. It's unknown what other events took place during that journey, but when Galatea returned to Florence, she seemed like a completely different person. Her sculpting skills had improved dramatically after those events. At first, her family was happy for her, but later they began noticing that she talked to her statues as if they were alive. One night, Galatea's father caught her speaking to one of the sculptures again, and in a fit of rage, he threw the statue off the terrace. Without a second thought, Galatea jumped after her creation, which left her disabled and paralyzed from the waist down. Her family came to believe that Galatea had lost her mind and sent her to a psychiatric hospital for treatment, but her condition only got worse there. She stopped speaking to other people and instead would constantly grab anything she could use for sculpting, carving the same face into it every time, while calling it by her own name. The medical staff eventually moved her to a remote courtyard and assigned a caretaker to watch over her. One day, when the woman came to check on Galatea killed her, cut off her head, and used the body to create one of her works. After that, Galatea escaped from the asylum, and she was never seen again. Camille Claudel was a French sculptor of the late 19th century. She was an independent and talented artist in a world that did not forgive women for that. From a young age, she had a rare sense of spatial form and could almost physically feel sculpture. Her talent was so undeniable that she entered Auguste Rodin's workshop and very quickly became not just his student, but his equal. And it was from that moment that the turning point in her life began. Camille worked alongside Rodin, took part in creating many of his major works, but almost never received credit for them. Over time, people stopped seeing her as an artist of her own, and instead viewed her as an extension of someone else's genius. Her ideas were claimed by others, and her style slowly disappeared behind another name. When Camille tried to step out of that shadow and establish herself independently, she simply wasn't allowed to. And Rodin, by the way, was not only her teacher, but also her lover. In the end, he refused to marry her, unwilling to leave Rose, the mother of his son, and later his wife. Over time, Camille developed severe paranoia. She became convinced that Rodin was stealing her work, that people were deliberately erasing her, and that she was constantly being watched. And in the end, it all led to one outcome. She was declared mentally unstable, isolated, and sent to an institution. Camille spent 30 years in a psychiatric clinic with almost no visitors, no voice of her own, and no right to create. Even when doctors said she could be released, her family refused. She did not die as an artist. She died as someone society found inconvenient. Both Camille and Galatea were incredibly talented, but that talent did not give either of them freedom. Instead, it became a reason to control them. Galatea was treated like a child because of her dwarfism. Camille was labeled unstable and mentally unwell. For both of them, creation was not just art, it was existence itself. Both Camille and Galatea were isolated for their own good. They were stripped of their independence and their right to choose. And for them, that was worse than prison. Neither of them was removed from society as a criminal, but as someone society found inconvenient. Camille was never considered dangerous, yet she was still kept in an institution for 30 years, until the end of her life. Galatea, on the other hand, became dangerous inside the very institution that was supposed to heal her. There's another interesting detail. Galatea was born with dwarfism, which caused people to treat her like a child, and not as a grown woman, despite her mature work and obvious talent. Her character description also mentions that Galatea is drawn to beautiful, mature women, which may explain her fascination with them. In one of her works, called Marble Bust, she sculpted herself, but gave the statue a larger chest. This sculpture appears in the game as one of Galatea's B-tier accessories, and its description says, "It's a pity this will never become reality." Galatea developed a complex shaped by two different factors. People constantly treated her like a child, and she had dwarfism from early childhood. In reality, Galatea was denied the right to be seen as an adult from the moment she was born. So when she creates sculptures like these, she is most likely trying to compensate for that and reclaim that right for herself. This is less about hatred toward her body, and more about the pain of never being seen or acknowledged as an adult. I found one of Camille's works especially interesting. A sculpture called The Age of Maturity. It can be seen as an allegory for aging. A man leaves youth behind and moves toward maturity, and eventually toward death. In this piece, maturity feels like a point of no return, the moment when a person either becomes an adult or gets left behind. But in Galatea's case, that moment never comes. And for Camille, maturity did come, but it was taken away from her, as people stopped seeing her as a rational adult altogether. This is only the main part of a much bigger story. If you're interested in hearing more video topics, make sure to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.